The announcement came right after Dad finished carving the turkey. We were all seated around the mahogany dining table in the formal dining room of the family home where I'd grown up. The same room where Dad had hosted business dinners and celebrated major contracts for Martinez Construction for the past 28 years. "Before we dig into this beautiful meal your mother prepared," Dad said, standing at the head of the table with his carving knife still in hand, "I have some important family news to share." My siblings, Miguel, 36, and Sofia, 33, straightened in their chairs with the eager attention of children expecting presents. I sat quietly at the far end of the table, already knowing what was coming based on the whispered conversations I'd overheard between Dad and Mom over the past few weeks. As you all know, Martinez Construction has been our family's livelihood for nearly 3 decades. I built this company from nothing, working 16-hour days, taking risks, making sacrifices so that all of you could have better lives. Miguel nodded solemnly. "Dad, you've built something incredible. The whole city knows the Martinez name." "That's right," Dad continued, his voice carrying the pride of a man who'd achieved the American dream through sheer determination. "But I'm 71 years old and your mother and I want to enjoy our retirement while we're still healthy enough to travel and spend time with our grandchildren." Sofia leaned forward eagerly. "Are you finally ready to let Miguel and me take over operations?" Dad's expression shifted, becoming more serious. "Actually, we've decided to sell Martinez Construction entirely. We've received an offer that's too good to pass up." The room went silent except for the soft classical music playing from the sound system and the distant hum of traffic outside. "Sell?" Miguel's voice cracked slightly. "Dad, this is our family legacy. This is what we've all been working toward." "Miguel, you've been working in marketing for a tech startup for the past 5 years. Sofia, you're a graphic designer with your own freelance business. Neither of you has shown any real interest in construction or business management." That was true, but it wasn't the whole truth. The real truth was that both Miguel and Sofia had been counting on inheriting Martinez Construction as their retirement plan, assuming they could hire managers to run the actual business while they collected profits from Dad's lifetime of work. "But we could learn," Sofia protested. "We could bring fresh perspectives to the business, maybe expand into new markets." "Sofia, you've never set foot on a construction site. You don't know the difference between a load-bearing wall and a partition. You think business management means posting on social media and designing pretty logos." Dad's voice was getting sharper, touching on years of frustration with children who'd taken his success for granted while building their own careers far from the family business. "The truth is, neither of you has ever shown the slightest interest in Martinez Construction except as a source of financial security. Well, I'm not going to let 30 years of hard work be destroyed by people who see it as an easy paycheck." Miguel's face was red with indignation. "Dad, that's not fair. We're your children. We deserve to inherit what you've built." "You deserve nothing," Dad said firmly. "Inheritance is earned, not given. And neither of you has earned the right to control Martinez Construction." Sofia was starting to tear up. "So you're just going to sell to strangers? People who don't care about our family's reputation or our employees?" "I'm selling to people who will preserve what I've built and protect our employees' jobs. Summit Enterprises has an excellent reputation in the industry, and they've committed to maintaining our current workforce and management structure." Miguel and Sofia exchanged excited glances, clearly doing mental calculations about their share of a major business sale. "How much?" Miguel asked directly. Dad smiled proudly. $40 million. Summit Enterprises made an offer that values Martinez Construction at exactly what it's worth. The equipment, the contracts, the reputation, everything. Sofia actually clapped her hands together. $40 million. "Dad, that's incredible." "It is incredible," Dad agreed. "And your mother and I plan to enjoy every penny of it. We're buying a retirement home in Scottsdale, taking that European river cruise we've always talked about, and making sure we have enough money to live comfortably for the rest of our lives." The implication was clear. Miguel and Sofia wouldn't be seeing any of the $40 million. "But Dad," Miguel protested, "surely you're planning to leave something for your children?" "I'm leaving you the same thing my father left me," Dad replied. "The opportunity to make your own way in the world. The same opportunity one had when I started Martinez Construction with $5,000 in savings and a used pickup truck." I had remained silent throughout this entire conversation, watching my siblings' faces cycle through confusion, hope, disappointment, and growing anger. Finally, I decided it was time to speak up. Dad, who exactly is Summit Enterprises? He turned toward me with surprise as if he'd forgotten I was at the table. Throughout my adult life, I'd been the quiet sister who worked in finance and rarely participated in family discussions about business or money. Summit Enterprises is a commercial construction and development company based in Phoenix. They specialize in acquiring established regional contractors and helping them expand into new markets. And you're confident they'll take good care of Martinez Construction? Absolutely. I've done my due diligence. They have an excellent track record, solid financing, and a commitment to maintaining the quality standards that have made Martinez Construction successful. I smiled, setting down my wine glass. Dad, I have something to tell you about Summit Enterprises. What's that, Mija? I am Summit Enterprises. The silence that followed was profound. You could have heard a pin drop on the Persian rug. What do you mean? Dad asked slowly. I own Summit Enterprises. I founded the company 3 years ago, and I'm the one who made the $40 million offer to purchase Martinez Construction. Miguel stared at me like I'd grown a second head. That's impossible, Carmen. You work in accounting or something. I work in private equity and commercial development. Summit Enterprises is my holding company for construction and real estate investments across the Southwest. Sophia was shaking her head. Carmen, this isn't funny. We're talking about $40 million. Yes, we are. $40 million that I'm paying to Dad for a company that I've been quietly studying and analyzing for the past 2 years. I reached into my purse and pulled out a folder containing the preliminary purchase agreements, all bearing my signature as the managing member of Summit Enterprises LLC. Dad, when Summit Enterprises contacted Martinez Construction about a potential acquisition, did you ever ask who owned the company? Dad's face had gone pale. The lawyers said it was a private company based in Phoenix. They provided financial statements, references, proof of funds. All legitimate. Summit Enterprises is indeed based in Phoenix, where I moved 4 years ago to be closer to the commercial development market in the Southwest. We have $340 million in assets under management and specialize in acquiring family-owned construction companies that are ready for succession planning. I stood up and walked to the window overlooking the backyard where Dad had taught me to use power tools when I was 12, where I'd learned about construction by helping him build the deck in the garden shed that still stood near the back fence. The difference is that Summit Enterprises isn't owned by strangers who don't care about Martinez Construction's legacy. It's owned by someone who's been watching Dad build this company since she was old enough to wear a hard hat and carry a tool belt. Miguel was frantically pulling out his phone, probably trying to look up Summit Enterprises online. But Carmen, Mom said quietly, you never showed any interest in the construction business. You went to college, got your finance degree, moved to Phoenix. Mom, I got my finance degree specifically so I could understand the business side of construction. I moved to Phoenix because it's one of the fastest growing construction markets in the country, and I wanted to learn how successful development companies operate. I turned back to face the table, looking at family members who'd spent years thinking they knew exactly who I was and what I was capable of. For the past 8 years, I've been building Summit Enterprises into a regional powerhouse. We've acquired 12 construction companies, developed over $200 million in commercial real estate, and established ourselves as one of the most respected names in Southwest construction. The number seemed to hit them like physical blows. But why didn't you tell us? Sophia asked. Because every time I tried to talk about my work, you changed the subject or made jokes about me playing with numbers while the real work was being done by people like Dad. You made it clear that you saw me as the sister who'd abandoned the family business to push papers around in an office. That was true. Throughout my 20s and early 30s, family gatherings had been exercises in gentle condescension. Miguel and Sophia would update everyone on their creative careers while I was dismissed as someone who'd chosen the boring world of finance over more interesting pursuits. 2 years ago, I continued, I started hearing rumors that Dad was considering retirement. So I began conducting a formal analysis of Martinez Construction. The financials, the market position, the growth potential, the succession challenges. Dad was listening intently now, his business instincts overriding his personal shock. What did you find? I found a well-run company with excellent relationships, solid contracts, and a reputation for quality work. I also found a business owner approaching retirement age with no clear succession plan and 2 children who'd never demonstrated any interest in actually running a construction company. Miguel started to protest, but I held up my hand. Miguel, in 5 years of family dinners, you've never once asked Dad about bidding processes, project management, safety regulations, or client relationships. Sophia, you've never inquired about equipment maintenance, workforce development, or industry trends. You've both been content to let Dad handle the boring business stuff, while you pursued your own interests. But we always assumed, Sophia began. You assumed you'd inherit a successful business without having to understand how it actually works. You assumed Dad would either run it forever or hire managers to run it for you while you collected profits. I walked back to the table and sat down, folding my hands in front of me. Dad, the offer from Summit Enterprises isn't just about buying your company. It's about preserving what you've built and growing it into something even bigger. Martinez Construction would become the flagship acquisition for Summit's expansion into the Texas market. Texas. Dad's eyes lit up with interest. We've identified opportunities for commercial development projects worth over $150 million in Dallas, Austin, and Houston. Martinez Construction's reputation and expertise would be the foundation for establishing Summit's presence in those markets. I pulled out another set of documents from my folder. But more than that, the acquisition would create opportunities for Martinez Construction's current employees to advance into management roles with a larger organization. Your project managers could become regional directors. Your supervisors could oversee multiple job sites. Your administrative staff could develop expertise in areas like business development and strategic planning. Dad was nodding slowly, his businessman's mind processing the possibilities. And the Martinez name? Would be preserved. Summit Enterprises operates as a holding company, but our acquisitions maintain their local identity and reputation. Martinez Construction would continue to be Martinez Construction, just with access to larger projects and greater resources. Miguel was staring at his phone screen, apparently having found Summit Enterprises' website. Carmen, this says Summit Enterprises has completed over $800 million in development projects. That's correct. And you own this company? I founded it and I own 78% of the equity. My partners own the remaining 22%. Sophia was doing mental calculations. Carmen, if the company has done $800 million in projects. My personal net worth is approximately $240 million, not counting the Martinez Construction acquisition. The silence returned, heavier this time. $240 million? Mom whispered. That's the current valuation, yes. It fluctuates with market conditions and project completions, but that's the approximate number. Dad sat back in his chair, looking at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Not the indulgent smile he'd always given his youngest daughter, but the respectful attention he reserved for serious business discussions. Carmen, if you own Summit Enterprises, why are you paying full market value for Martinez Construction? You could have just told me who you were and we could have worked out a family arrangement. It was a good question and one I'd anticipated. Because I want to earn Martinez Construction, not inherit it. I want to prove that Summit Enterprises is the right choice for your legacy based on our capabilities, not our family relationship. I looked around the table at faces that were still processing this new reality. Also, because paying full market value ensures that you and Mom have complete financial security for your retirement. You've earned the right to enjoy the fruits of 30 years of hard work. Miguel was scrolling through more information on his phone. Dad, Summit Enterprises has won awards from the Arizona Construction Association. They built that new medical complex in Scottsdale that was featured in Architectural Digest. And the mixed-use development in Tempe that won the Sustainability Award last year, Sophia added, apparently having looked up the same information. Dad was studying my face with new attention. Carmen, how long have you been planning this? Honestly, since I was 16 and you let me help manage the payroll during summer break. I've always known I wanted to be part of the construction industry, but I wanted to understand all aspects of it. The finance, the development, the strategic planning, not just the operational side. Why didn't you tell us? Because I wanted to prove myself independently first. If I'd told you 8 years ago that I was starting a construction company, What would you have said? Dad considered this. I probably would have told you it was too difficult for someone without field experience. I would have worried about you competing in a male-dominated industry. And you would have offered to help, which would have made every success look like family favoritism rather than earned achievement. Miguel set down his phone and looked at me directly. Carmen, I have to ask, what happens to Sophia and me in all this? What do you mean? I mean you're buying Dad's company for $40 million. You're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. We're your siblings, but apparently we're also, what? Cut out of the family business entirely? It was a fair question and I'd been thinking about it for months. Miguel, what do you want to happen? I don't know. I never expected this. I looked at Sophia. What about you? She was quiet for a moment, then said, I guess I always assumed I'd inherit a third of whatever Dad built. Now I'm realizing that what Dad built was the opportunity to build something myself, and I never took advantage of that opportunity. That's exactly right, Dad said firmly. Carmen understood that lesson and acted on it. You two didn't. But it's not too late, I said. Summit Enterprises is always looking for talented people who understand our industry and our values. If you're genuinely interested in learning the construction business, there could be opportunities for you. Miguel's eyes lit up. You mean working for you? Working with me. Learning the business from the ground up the same way I did. Starting in entry-level positions and proving that you can contribute value before advancing to greater responsibilities. What kind of entry-level positions? Sophia asked. Project coordination, client relations, administrative support, safety compliance. All the foundational work that teaches you how construction projects actually get completed. I could see them processing this offer, trying to decide whether they were willing to work their way up through a business they'd expected to inherit. The difference is that Summit Enterprises can offer you opportunities that Martinez Construction never could. Larger projects, diverse markets, advanced training programs, clear advancement paths based on performance rather than family relationships. Dad was nodding approvingly. Carmen, that's exactly the right approach. They need to earn their place in the business world just like you did. Over the following months, the transition from family drama to business partnership was gradual but successful. The acquisition of Martinez Construction went through without complications, and Dad was impressed with Summit's professionalism throughout the due diligence process. Miguel decided to take a position with Summit Enterprises as a project coordinator, starting at entry level but with the advantage of Dad's mentorship and my strategic guidance. He discovered that he actually enjoyed the problem-solving aspects of construction management and had a natural talent for client relations. Sophia chose to continue with her design business but began specializing in commercial and residential development projects, often working as a subcontractor for Summit's marketing and branding needs. She found ways to combine her creative skills with business strategy that benefited both her independent practice and the larger family enterprise. Most importantly, Dad found that retirement wasn't about completely stepping away from Martinez Construction, but about transitioning from daily operations to strategic advising. He remained involved as a consultant to Summit Enterprises, helping with client relationships and mentoring the next generation of project managers. The Thanksgiving dinner that had started with, "You're getting nothing," had ended with all of us getting something more valuable than inheritance. The opportunity to build genuine professional relationships based on mutual respect and earned achievement. 6 months after the acquisition, we held the first annual Martinez Construction Employee Appreciation Dinner at the same country club where Dad had celebrated major contracts for 3 decades. But this time the celebration was bigger, recognizing not just the completion of successful projects, but the successful transition to a new phase of growth and opportunity. As I stood at the podium looking out at employees who had become partners in a larger vision, at family members who had evolved from entitled heirs to contributing professionals, at Dad whose pride was now based on what we were building together rather than what he was protecting alone, I realized that the best family businesses aren't the ones that get passed down unchanged. They're the ones that evolve with each generation, growing stronger by combining tradition with innovation, preserving values while embracing new possibilities. The announcement that had seemed like an ending had actually been a beginning.